Hey guys, Cody here, and today I'm gonna be doing a little review on a movie called Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, starring Rick Moranis as the doctor or scientist in the movie who has created a shrinking machine that can basically do what it does, which is shrink things. Though he has one problem. That's getting the thing to work properly. Because most of the time, whenever he tests his shrinking machine on objects, he just literally blows the machine literally just blows the objects up instead. But it wasn't until one of his neighbor's kids was playing baseball and smashed his baseball into the attic of the Selinsky house and caused the machine to work. Somehow shrinking anything in its path, whether it be objects or people. And so when the Selinsky kids and the neighbor kids went upstairs into the attic, they all got shrunk by the machine. And when the scientist came home from a science presentation place, I guess you could say, he was pissed that his machine didn't work at all. So, feeling that he was a complete failure, he broke the machine and smashed it to pieces. And thus, the kids being as small as they were, having the machine work and everything, they got thrown out with the trash and ended up in the Selinskys' backyard. And so, had their quest was to reach the Selinsky house to get the scientists to get them back to normal size and reunite with their family. So, yeah. I really liked this movie when I was a kid, and I still do today. The special effects were first-rate and inventive at the time, though it lacked storytelling in a way, being some most typical 80s movies where it relies mainly on special effects or running gags and no actual plot, unfortunately. Well, anyways, so Honey, I Shrunk the Kids was one of those films that was part of the late 80s formula, I guess you would say, as a film that came from 1989. You could probably see that. It's a little cheap in story and characters. And compared to the other shrinking person films that came before it, like The Incredible Shrinking Man, the special effects had evolved since 1957, which was the year The Incredible Shrinking Man came out. And yes, so anyways, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is a fairly decent movie to me, but you know, my favorite parts were like the shrinking sequence, different action scenes, and the I don't know what else. Well, let's get to one of my least favorite scenes, which is there's only one. And spoiler alert, it's the scene where one of the Zelensky kids, Nikki, who is the little young geek, almost gets eaten by his father for breakfast. And the music felt pretty fitting for the mood because let's face it, if you were in Nick's position, landing in your parents' breakfast, and you were at the verge of, almost at the bridge between life and death, you'd probably die. But Nikki was saved due to his family dog Mort biting his father's leg to get his attention and stop him from eating his son just in time. And discovered that not only was his son in your cereal, but the scientist and his wife also found the rest of the kids, and thus called the neighbors, and the case explained how the machine was able to work. And another spoiler, the scientists realized that it was the laser that was causing shit to blow up in his face by coming up with the theory that the ball went through the window, activated the machine, and got in the path of the laser, in which was creating so much heat that everything he zaps with the machine kept blowing up in his face. And so, when they realized that, the scientist put the ball back on the machine, and in which he realized earlier on that the machine worked and thus fixed it. And returned his kids and the neighbor's kids back to normal size. And the neighbors are now best friends. So this movie may be weak story-wise, but powerful special effects-wise. It's still a good movie and entertaining ride from start to finish. Some of the comedy works for the most part. Some of the situations are kind of realistic, whether it's dealing with life and death, like the scorpion fight scene, or one of the kids almost being eaten by the scientist, or flying around the backyard on the back of a bee, and so on and so forth. Yeah, there's a lot of special effects in the movie, and it definitely shows how far the special effects has come since the late 50s. And yeah. So if I was to rate Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, I would give it a C. It was a good movie with fun characters, special effects, and plot. And just one more thing. Before the movie starts, you'd get the special cartoon, maroon cartoon called Tummy Trouble, starring two characters from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which was Baby Herman and Roger Rabbit. And Jessica Rabbit also makes her appearance in that cartoon. And might I tell you, Jessica is sure one hot bitch. Yeah. So, that is also a fun cartoon as well. So, yeah. After Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, there were two sequels. One theatrical and one direct-to-video. The theatrical sequel was Honey, I Blew Up the Kid, which was at first not intended to be a sequel, but a standalone movie, so to speak. And Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves was a movie where it was the very last, I think, motion picture performance of Rick Moranis, who played the scientist in the movie, Wayne Szalinski. And yeah. So that is my little review of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Take care, my friends.